All four of our channels are going through it. It's crazy. So last night, and boy, the mainstream media, oh boy, the agenda-led mainstream media is celebrating this. Unrivaled, record-breaking attendance last night in Philadelphia. Unrivaled put this up, record-breaking attendance, 21,490 in attendance. All-time record for regular season pro women's basketball.
Unrivaled announced record-breaking attendance figures for their Philadelphia game, claiming 21,490 people attended the event. The organization promoted this as the all-time attendance record for a regular season professional women's basketball game and the most attended event in Xfinity Mobile Arena history. Mainstream media outlets including the New York Times, The Guardian, Yahoo Sports, Sports Illustrated, and ESPN celebrated the announcement with extensive coverage. However, significant skepticism surrounds these numbers and the circumstances of the event. The Philadelphia game received promotional attention for approximately a year leading up to the event, with visible marketing campaigns running for at least 6 months prior. Rallies and promotional events built anticipation in the Philadelphia area specifically, suggesting an extraordinarily concentrated effort to drive attendance for this single game.
Pro women's basketball game, most attended event in Xfinity Mobile Arena history. You may be like, wow, look at all these people that showed up for 3x3 basketball. Guys, be smarter than this. Okay? Be smarter than this. Let's understand some things. Number one, they have been promoting this.
Context matters significantly when evaluating these attendance claims. Philadelphia carries particular political demographics and cultural elements that likely influence turnout. Celebrity appearances from figures like Wanda Sykes and Dawn Staley contributed to the event's profile, attracting audiences beyond just basketball fans interested specifically in 3x3 competition. Questions arise about the ticket distribution methodology. While the official attendance figure suggests over 21,000 individual ticket purchases, alternative explanations seem plausible. Corporate entities potentially purchased large ticket blocks, possibly thousands at a time, as promotional giveaways or community relations initiatives.
Number one, they have been promoting this Philadelphia game for what? A year? A year I have seen promotion about this game, it feels like. I know at least the last 6 months. I've seen flyers, and they've had rallies out there. Let us not lose sight of the political agenda that is Philadelphia. That's a thing. Wanda Sykes.
Companies often leverage such opportunities to demonstrate support for causes aligning with their corporate values, particularly those involving women's sports, diversity initiatives, or LGBTQ+ representation. The practice of bulk corporate ticket purchases followed by distribution to employees, clients, or community groups represents standard sports marketing procedure. However, this differs substantially from organic individual ticket sales at market prices. The distinction matters when evaluating actual fan demand versus attendance figures inflated through corporate purchasing and complementary distribution. Unrivaled's typical attendance at their Florida venue provides important comparative context. Regular games struggle to attract even 1,000 attendees, creating stark contrast with the Philadelphia numbers.
Sykes and Dawn Staley. Is there any other celebrity lesbians that decided to show up for this game? Guys, understand what happened here. All right? Now, of course, I've got to say speculation, and look at this, folks. Look at this. I mean, all the media is doing victory laps. New York Times, The Guardian, Yahoo Sports.
This disparity suggests the Philadelphia event represented an exceptional circumstance rather than reflecting sustainable attendance patterns. Whether this indicates the beginning of a barnstorming tour strategy or simply an isolated promotional success remains unclear. Corporate sponsorship motivations deserve examination. Companies reviewing these athletes' profiles, including their political activism and demographic representation, may see alignment opportunities. Supporting women athletes, particularly women of color and LGBTQ+ community members, allows corporations to demonstrate values-based positioning. Purchasing substantial ticket blocks for such events serves multiple corporate objectives beyond pure sports fandom.
Sports Illustrated, ESPN. And we'll get to Natasha Cloud in the WNBA CBA and her lunatic comments that's tied to Unrivaled. We'll get to that in just a minute. Just a memento, por favor. We'll get to that. Guys, we're not this dumb. Do I believe for a minute?
The promotional victory lap from media outlets may prove premature. Questions about Unrivaled's long-term viability persist despite the Philadelphia attendance success. Revisiting these attendance patterns and financial sustainability after a year of operations will provide clearer assessment of the league's actual stability and growth trajectory. Natasha Cloud's recent comments on the WNBA CBA negotiations and Unrivaled's role generated considerable attention. Cloud, known for activist stances, including supporting progressive political candidates, delivered confrontational remarks about the negotiation process. She claimed players hold all leverage given current momentum and investment interest in women's basketball.
Feel a second that there was 21,490 fans there that each bought a single individual ticket, yada, yada, yada. No way. Do I believe you probably had some corporate entities involved in this that probably bought thousands of tickets?
Cloud expressed frustration and disgust with WNBA management's handling of negotiations, criticizing what she characterized as the league's failure to recognize player value and unwillingness to advance discussions meaningfully. She referenced upcoming television contract negotiations, claiming the revenue percentages being offered would anger fans if publicly disclosed. Her message emphasized that players would maintain their position indefinitely until ownership moved first. Most notably, Cloud suggested players don't actually need the WNBA, positioning Unrivaled as a viable alternative. She declared players possessed unprecedented leverage and warned that refusing to compensate players appropriately would represent catastrophic business decisions. Her statement placed direct pressure on league management and NBA Commissioner Adam Silver to meet player demands.
Giveaways. Oh, we've got a chance to make this look like something. Let's swoop in there. Some corporation with their agenda that probably their agenda showed up real loud in 2020. Do you remember that? Let's buy 2,000 tickets. You got another one. Let's buy 500 tickets. And then we'll give them away. We'll give them to...
Some factual inaccuracies appeared in Cloud's statements. She referenced media rights deals beginning in 2 years, though USA Basketball and USA Network begin broadcasting games immediately in the current year. This confusion about basic negotiation timeline facts raised questions about her understanding of the actual situation. The disconnect between Cloud's confident assertions and apparent factual confusion demonstrates potential problems in the player negotiation approach. If other players share similar perspectives based on incomplete or incorrect information, productive negotiations become significantly more difficult. Cloud's positioning of Unrivaled as a genuine alternative to the WNBA reflects either strategic negotiating posture or fundamental misunderstanding of economic realities.
We'll give them to, hey, salespeople, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. We know how this works. Do I believe there was a bunch of face value tickets, yada? No, I don't. Do I believe that tickets were sold in a manner that they would normally be sold to at other sporting? No, I don't. I don't believe that. And boy, I implore you to not believe it.
Unrivaled operates with different financial structures and faces its own sustainability questions, as evidenced by typical Florida attendance figures dramatically lower than WNBA games. The suggestion that players can simply abandon the WNBA for Unrivaled ignores several critical factors. WNBA owners invested substantial capital in franchises expecting returns over extended timelines. If players strike and reject reasonable offers, owners face decisions about whether continuing operations makes financial sense. Unlike players who might see Unrivaled as an alternative, owners cannot simply shift their investments to different leagues. Cloud's approach frames negotiations as ideological struggle rather than business negotiation.
Step stool or something. I mean, wow. It was pretty visually jarring seeing the height difference between her and Reggie Miller and Carmelo Anthony, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter. It was really good. She did a very good job. But she made some comments about the CBA because, well, I mean, I give credit to NBC for asking about it. And
She emphasized empowerment and principle over practical economics. This perspective clashes fundamentally with ownership viewpoints centered on profitability metrics and return on investment. When one party treats negotiations as social movement while the other focuses on financial statements, finding common ground proves challenging. The reality remains that if player demands exceed what economic fundamentals support, owners possess the option to cease operations entirely. Sports leagues require both capital investment from ownership and labor from players. When those parties cannot reach mutually acceptable terms reflecting actual economic conditions, the enterprise cannot continue.
It's pretty jarring. Again, remember when the players voted for the ability to go on strike? This was what, a month ago maybe? They all met and they all had a vote, and there were 3 players. I think we figured out there was 3 players that did not vote yes for a potential strike. I would love to know if she's one of them, okay? Now, today is the big meeting. I'm sure I will have some news about
The delusion evident in Cloud's statements, particularly regarding basic facts about media contracts and timelines, suggests potentially unrealistic player expectations. If the broader player group shares these perspectives without grounding in accurate information about league economics, negotiations could collapse entirely. The WNBA faces genuine existential questions if player demands dramatically exceed what revenue streams support. Owners entered the business for various reasons, but sustained losses beyond tolerance thresholds eventually forced decisions about continuing operations. Cloud's confident assertions about player leverage assume owners will accept any terms to keep leagues operating, which misunderstands business fundamentals. Entertainment properties require alignment between labor costs and revenue generation.
have some news about that potentially later in the day. Big meeting between the WNBA/NBA owners and the players union. Kelsey Plum. Oh, wait a minute. They're going after the Unrivaled game, I think. So anyway, Kelsey Plum, Nafisia Collier, Nike Agumake going to meet with the NBA/WNBA. I would love to know if Adam Silver's going to be there.
Women's basketball growth shows promise, but current economics may not support compensation levels some players demand. The gap between player expectations and owner willingness to sustain losses determines whether leagues continue. Cloud's suggestion that players should simply move to Unrivaled if WNBA negotiations fail ignores that league's uncertain financial foundation. TNT's investment carries expectations about viewership and advertising demographics. If Unrivaled cannot sustain audience engagement beyond promotional events like Philadelphia, broadcast partners may reconsider commitments. The Philadelphia attendance, whatever its actual composition, created temporary victory narrative.
I would love to know if Adam Silver's going to be there. But it's pretty clear, and I've talked about this. I think there's a real split amongst the players as to what it is they should be doing. Because Caitlin Clark has made it very, very clear. They've got to have a resolution. They need to get a resolution, and they need to get on the court and play ball.
Sustaining such numbers regularly without massive promotional campaigns and corporate ticket purchasing programs represents an entirely different challenge. The contrast between Philadelphia's 21,490 and typical Florida venue struggles illustrates the gap between promotional success and sustainable operations. Athletes increasingly engage in activism and political expression, which generates both support and criticism. Cloud's activism attracts corporate interest from some entities while potentially alienating other audience segments. Whether this dynamic helps or hurts women's basketball economically remains debatable. The intersection of sports, politics, and business complicates straightforward economic analysis.
And play ball. And you can tell it is a priority for her that they have a WNBA season and that they play basketball. Now, before we get to her comments, this was just like 3 days ago. Natasha Cloud.
Honestly, I'm just kind of like upset, frustrated, all of us, and in a lot of ways just like disgusted with the W and how they're handling this and their lack of value.
Cloud and similarly positioned players represent causes extending beyond basketball competition. Corporate sponsors may value this representation regardless of pure sports performance metrics. However, sustainable leagues ultimately require audience engagement, translating to revenue, justifying player compensation. The coming months will reveal whether Cloud's confidence about player leverage proves justified or represents miscalculation of economic realities. Either players and owners find middle ground, allowing league continuation, or negotiations collapse, forcing difficult decisions about whether the WNBA continues operations.
Their lack of value, their lack of worth for us, their lack of even trying to attempt to move the needle with us. Like, we know what is on the horizon. We know in 2 years our TV deal is up and there's a new TV deal that's going to come that they're not even putting on the table for us. The percentages, if we actually told you the percentages of what they're giving, that they're like sending to us, it would absolutely piss y'all off. Mm-hmm. So like, just know when we are standing firm in our feet and 10 toes down, there is a reason and we will not move until y'all move.
Unrivaled's viability similarly faces testing. The Philadelphia attendance provides one positive data point, but building sustainable operations requires consistent audience engagement across markets without extraordinary promotional investment. Whether the league survives beyond initial novelty and investment enthusiasm remains uncertain. The situation demonstrates how athletes' understanding of business fundamentals impacts negotiation outcomes. Confidence unsupported by accurate information about contracts, timelines, and economics creates risk of overplaying weak hands.
There is a reason, and we will not move until y'all move. So I'm going to look directly into the camera, too. We will not move until y'all move. And it would be the worst business decision of any business to not literally pay the players that make your business go. Move without us, there's no W. And it would be the worst business. The pressure is on the any business, on Kathy, on Adam, the players, everyone that is in that front office. Honestly, I'm
okay. I mean, that was her comments from the other day. And do you notice that
if Cloud's perspectives represent broader player thinking, resolution may prove elusive? Caitlin Clark's NBC pregame segment prior to the Lakers-Knicks matchup at Madison Square Garden showcased her considerable broadcasting abilities. The extended All-Star announcement sequence that preceded her segment eventually gave way to Clark's appearance, which proved highly effective. The visible height contrast between Clark and her co-panelists Reggie Miller and Carmelo Anthony created visual interest, though this didn't diminish her strong performance. Her execution was thoroughly professional.
The day, and do you notice that Caitlin Clark seems to be the only one that doesn't launch some kind of actual attack on the WNBA? I mean, they're talking like, hey, we don't need the WNBA, we can do Unrivaled, blah, 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 blah. And the manner in which their message is delivered, it is startling.
Clark offered commentary on the collective bargaining agreement when NBC raised the topic, which deserves recognition for addressing this issue. Her statements proved revealing. Approximately 30 days prior, the athletes conducted a vote authorizing potential work stoppage. 3 players reportedly opposed the authorization during that gathering. Speculation continues about whether Clark was among those 3 dissenting voices.